The third International Scientific Conference of Yoga and Ayurveda in Sulisław has just finished. Mr. Ambassador, how can you summarize achievements of this exceptional event?
Well, I think before I summarize the achievements of the conference, I think let's talk where we are. We have had two conferences before this. Our first conference was in 2014. And we started this palace in 2012, June 2012. So that year we had few programs and few workshops. And then 2013 we had several workshops which were attended by medical professionals and a wide spectrum of people. And the response was so good, especially from the medical professionals, that we felt encouraged to have a scientific conference, because I have experienced the yoga practice as a science, whereas a lot of people still think it's a tradition, it's a religion kind of thing. So our 2014 conference was a major success, where we did a conference which was international standard, and many American and other participants who are generally participating in conferences, they were saying we haven't seen this kind of standard where we bring out even a publication of papers in advance. And happily, we are continuing with those standards. And from 2014 to this year, within the 2 years, we have really progressed. Last year, Uppala University of Technology felt confident enough to recognize our studies, our training programs. And we had this joint, collaboration with the university, that we launched this PG diploma course on health and business management. And I remember the rector telling me that if we get 5 registrations, we will be very happy. And, we got 24 registrations. They could not believe. And out of these 24 registrations, majority of them had already taken 1, 2, or 3 times our workshops. So I think we are growing in a very systematic way. And this year, in designing our conference, I tried to get away from the regular, speakers, because you are hearing them everywhere. And I wanted to bring a new air into this. So this year, we have brought several new speakers who haven't perhaps spoken in international conferences, but we see what kind of response we get. So seeing this, definitely there is, this conference has given us a very good confidence that we should go for more, deep practicing people. They may not be so internationally well known, but they are the ones who have depth of knowledge. When we talk of yoga and Ayurveda practices, these practices are, yes, partly, university education, but more than the university education, it's the experience part of it. Are you convinced that this is a science? Have you been practicing it yourself? So this is the kind of practitioners we have brought this time. And people are amazed, because we saw during the conference at least 4 or 5 people who were literally in a helpless state body-wise. And just marma therapy of 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes could give them the confidence that they can revive completely. Or from Dr. Raghavan, who is Kerala-based, close to 80 years old. He's trained by education in Western medicine. But very soon after completing his Western medicine, he went into, under the guidance of a saint and under his guru, he changed over to Ayurveda practices, and he practices Ayurveda as per the ancient texts. So in ancient texts, it's not just the body that is important. It's what is also important is how your body is connected with the elements. And who is connecting? the body with the nature's elements, it's our consciousness. So how does conscious come into play? And then we brought in another new subject, that was astrology. How is astrology relevant into medical health, physical health? Mantra therapy, mantra chanting. How does mantra chanting help? So all these are sciences, but in the West, these have been generally seen as traditions or rituals related to the religion, which is absolutely wrong. And we have seen in this conference how much people are now recognizing that nobody is talking about Hinduism here. Nobody is talking about, doing some rituals or something. Everybody is so comfortable with understanding the body, understanding how breathing is critical to the health of the body, understanding how breathing helps us to regroup with the body, connect with the body. Then we bring in this energy component as to how does this energy is created. For example, these days we have all kinds of machines imaging the body. You have the EEG, the whatever you call CAT scan, and all kinds of other scans. So obviously the body has a field. It has a magnetic field, it has an electrical field, and all these electronic machines are measuring these energy fields. So the whole science of yoga is this energy field of the body, the prana, and how prana connects the body to the mind, and how then mind is guided by your consciousness, and then consciousness is connected with the superconsciousness. So these are free from any religious bindings. These are as applicable in our Vedic forms of different religions as they are applicable to other religions like Islam, like Christianity, or like whatever other Jews and so on, because we are not talking of any practice. We are simply talking of body, the energy levels of body, which the machines are measuring. And this kind of research is going on not in India. This is all research from the West. And the West has come to this realization that yes, this is a science. For example, today itself, this morning, Dr. Satvir Khalsa, who is a research assistant professor in Harvard Medical School, he was presenting his paper, and he showed that in America, in the last 3 years, the jump is, I think, 36 million or more people are now active practitioners of yoga in United States, and another 85 million have expressed that they are keen to start doing so. And the graph that they were showing, so in the last 3 years, it has been like a geometrical progression of people wanting to. And we know that it's not just in America, it's all over. It's even in China. When our Prime Minister visited China last year, the Chinese government had yoga and Tai Chi face to face, just to show how these traditions are working. So through this conference, I think the major achievement of our conference is we are bringing this diversity, and we are also involving our own Polish researchers. So we are getting more and more Polish speakers. I was very keen that we get the young, university graduates who are just entering their careers or who are started their research. And I'm very happy that we have several, just PhD students who are presenting their papers. So this is the idea of Sul Islam, that can we create a center of excellence for these diverse scientific presentations of traditions. I would at some point of time even like to, go back to pre-Christianity era of Europe. Because after all, Europe existed before 2000 years also. And we know that Christianity in Poland, when I was ambassador here, that's what I was reading all the time, that Christianity came to Poland somewhere in 10th century. And I have been ambassador to Lithuania as well. And in Lithuania, Christianity came only in 14th century. And I visited several sites, pagan sites, which are still protected, to show how they were also doing the similar things, which is all in our Vedic sciences. For example, this morning, there was about 10 Polish people gathered in our lawns to do the fire ceremony. And they were explaining what is fire ceremony. And these are Polish people who are practicing it right here in Poland. And they find that this is a very, purifying experience. Purifying the air, purifying the energy levels, which purifies your thought level. So this is how these practices are meant to actually go to our subtle level, and from subtle level to the consciousness level. And that's how yoga science works. So, I feel really, very, very happy that with our main propagators of this whole program, that is Mr. Jerji Bar and Mrs. Beata Bar, that they have literally given everything of theirs to promoting this. Otherwise, there is no way we could have done what we are doing. And it is because of their commitment. And they are very, very nice Christian, souls. And I go with them to church and all that. And they practice their own religion. But they see this as, further taking them higher in their practice. So therefore, and same thing I have seen that our Prime Minister, for example, this year, in the last 6 months, he has visited United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and just last month, he visited Qatar. So 4 Muslim countries by a Prime Minister who was generally shown as anti-Muslim. We had this unfortunate incident in 2002 in his state, Gujarat, when he was the chief minister, and everybody branded him as a Hindu protagonist against Muslims. And the record is between 2002 to 2014, when he was the chief minister of that state, there was not a single disturbance between Hindus and Muslims in Gujarat. And Europe, the United States, everybody refused to receive him. They denied him visa. But today, everybody wants to see him, welcome him, or come to India. He has made 6 visits to the United States, and all with President Barack Obama. I must admire President Barack Obama also. If you see my book, which I wrote right here in Warsaw, and it's published in Polish language as well, you will see that I have written there, I see great future for United States with the incoming of President Barack Obama. Why? In his own installation speech, it was beautiful to see a president of America saying the Hindus, the Muslims, the Christians, the Sikhs. So if you have that kind of openness, that you recognize the existence of everybody, then obviously this is a very high consciousness that is working. And you are not, narrowed down by small political considerations. And this is what we see in India, that today Muslims are voting more for Prime Minister Modi, because they now recognize, no, this man is not against religion. This man is wanting the good of everyone. He is all out to help the poor class, because he himself comes from poor class. He is a practicing yogi. And everybody was amazed, in 2014 when he proposed this International Yoga Day in the United Nations General Assembly. He was fasting. Why? Because that was the 9-day period fasting. It just was a coincidence. And for 9 days, Prime Minister Modi lives only on water. And it happened to be that time, 5 days he was in the United States and he was not eating anything. He was only drinking just lukewarm water. And even when President Barack Obama hosted the banquet dinner for him, he only sipped this glass of water. So you have, people who live by it. So yoga is not for doing some yoga asanas. Yoga is to have a personality that is guided by these very deep aspects of yoga practice. So this is what we are actually introducing here, and you have been a witness. You yourself have participated in several of our workshops. Even if not for the full 5 days, you have been coming in and going, and you see the transformations in people's life. So yoga practice is not just giving you good physical health and good mental health, but yoga practice is meant to make you a good human being, a good global human being, that you have a global consciousness, not just a limited consciousness limited to national considerations or racial considerations or religious considerations. So I feel through this center over the next coming 2-3 years, I'm sure we would have created a center of excellence for human engineering, where we radiate from here to all our academic institutions, all our high schools, all our universities, colleges, just sharing information. What is the operating manual for your operations, for your actions? And that is yoga practice. And how do you stay healthy? That is Ayurveda, education, which can give you enough knowledge about how the body can be maintained disease-free. So yoga and Ayurveda combined together become a kind of profound knowledge that keeps us physically fit and mentally, very balanced to be able to do whatever we are doing. It doesn't mean that we only need to look for a very high position wherever we are. Because in society, you will have people in high positions, you will also have people in not so high positions. You will have women who may choose to be, looking after family. You may have women who may choose to be a career woman. You may have men who may choose to be family man, which is happening. Because in my personal opinion, actually raising children, there is no better profession than raising healthy and balanced children, because you add value to the society. So really, this center must become this kind of holistic approach. And I'm very happy last night, we have this more than 2 hours discussion on this Marma Chikitsa, where people were asking, we needed, please organize the workshop, and already 3 workshops have been, people have registered. So it's so good. So I will say that this conference and the idea that we build a festival atmosphere, which we have started this year. We weren't fully ready, but we were not able to publicize it sufficiently. But I'm sure next year we would have this community where people come with their tent and pitch, in these wide nature, and stay in nature for a few days, a week, 10 days. So we have this 11-day yoga festival, Yoga Ayurveda festival, where people just come to know who they are and how they are moving about, how they are, doing their whatever careers they are following, whatever families they have, and so on. So I think I'm very happy with whatever is happening, and for me, the results are great.
You have been nominated Goodwill Yoga Ambassador for 2016 by the Government of India. What did you accomplish in the promotion of yoga in the world so far, and what are the future plans for the 2016?
Thanks to Sul Islam, whatever activities we have done in the last 5 years, this is now talking everywhere. And I never go around saying what I'm doing. But because we touch people's heart, we change, we bring transformations in people's. So this is being noticed everywhere. The universities are talking, specialist doctors are talking. We have had specialist doctors with us do our full workshop. And even in this conference, we have several of them very religiously attending, all sessions. So this really prompted our government of India to recognize that I'm able to communicate. And because I have had a normal, career, I myself have been a diplomat, ambassador in several countries, representing India everywhere. And yet I was all along living by the principles of yoga Ayurveda, just like our Prime Minister. So the way I present this science is not a book, a textbook, knowledge that I'm sharing. So I'm sharing everything out of my personal experience. And this is what touches people's hearts. So obviously our ambassador in Warsaw was very touched, and he said, no, Mr. Bhandari, if you are able to do so much here, why don't you also propagate this to other countries, and our country will be benefited so much. So he wrote to our government, and Government of India said, oh, why not? So since January this year, I was invited to go to several countries. So in February, I was at the UNESCO in Paris, where I made the presentation and showed them what is the depth of yoga, how it is relevant. And there in UNESCO, our ambassador has already submitted a resolution to declare yoga as the, what they call, intangible heritage of humanity. So it's intangible. We don't see its, benefits in dollar terms, but it's intangible. And so there were all the world ambassadors to UNESCO in this conference. And then I also had a meeting in the European Commission in Brussels, and you saw that the Director General for Culture, Education and Sports from European Commission Brussels came yesterday for inauguration, and she presented her own paper of yoga in education. And thereafter, I visited Australia, where I had presentations in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and Canberra. And then just last month in Brussels again, we had this second convention of the European yoga institutions. And you know that our center, we are a member, we represent Poland in this Confederation of Yoga Institutions in Europe. So there again, people get amazed to know the depth, and not just the talking, because we share experience. And we show how in 1 hour, 2 hour session, we can transform you from your body health to straight to the consciousness level. And then show how now you will moderate your consciousness to becoming a purer and purer consciousness, so that it starts reflecting in your actions. That's how yoga transforms people and their thought process. So these kind of presentations are seen widely. Now we have this conference here. In India itself, I get invited to the National television, our national radio and programs and so on. And then in the second half, we have plans for travel towards Latin America, in Africa, maybe Central Asia. It depends how much I can afford, because I have my own programs. I run a similar facility in my own village, which is nothing compared to what we have here. But for India, the village setting is the ideal setting. And I'm happy that our PG diploma, students who are getting their diploma today, I think 14 of them are coming to my village to spend a full 2 weeks of experience. And I'm sure that's also going to impact quite a lot on the thought process. So I remain quite occupied, with my own work. And I must say that a lot of people ask me, how can you manage so much? And even here, people ask, but how can you do all this? You are everywhere kind of thing. But this is what yoga does. It charges you with so much energy, even though I get discharged every time I'm conducting a class, because it's not just lecture. It's, we transmit energy. That's how we change people. And this draining out my energy, I have to recharge it. So you can understand this is what yoga is all about. It's not just doing some, physical exercises or some breathing exercises. It's a much deeper science. And the deeper aspects of it is beyond laboratory research also. So all the research findings are only, I would say, not even 50% of what yoga does. But if even 50% can show so much, benefit to the society, to the countries, then why not understand the full depth of these sciences, the Vedic sciences? So yes, I see my, this year still very busy, and I'm sure future is becoming busier and busier. But it's good. It's for a cause of happiness of humanity, as also protecting our nature. Because if we do not look after nature, if we do not forget our differences and unite together and share this nature, nature is not to be divided and owned as our own property. Our Vedic sciences say, the first verse says, Ishavasha idam sarvam yat kinch jagatyan jagat tena tektena bunjita magradaha kassasvidhanam, which means that this whole universe is permeated by spirituality, by God. And it is for your use. But do not greed. Do not start owning it. It's only for your use. So long as you are using, fine. The moment you are gone, it is not yours. It's back to the nature. So this is the approach we need to take. This is what is called in our yoga practice detachment. That while we are attached for some time, I have a house, but when I'm gone, it's obviously not mine. If it was mine, I will take it with me. But nobody takes whatever they earn in this life. So therefore, I'm sure that's my kind of prayer to God, that okay, until the very last breath, if you can use me, I'll be very happy. Because there is no better happiness than remaining engaged